Hello Squeakers, I'm Ramos, and welcome back to the sad story of Emmaline Burns. It's a continuation of Emmaline's past. So how's your embroidery coming along? Hold on, I gotta move this. It's bothering me. Okay. Cornelia pouted, giving Emmaline a light shove in the shoulder. Oh please, do not ask me about my embroidery. You know better than anybody how dreadful I am at it. I have no hand-eye coordination whatsoever. Emmaline giggled, returning Cornelia's shove with one of her own. I do not understand how you can be that terrible at sewing, Nellie. It is hardly a science. It may be simple for you, but it is not for so me. Oh my god. Engaging in an activity I have no talent for is incredibly disheartening, and I keep poking myself with the needle. Oh, let me see. What? No. Cornelia's pout deepened, and she held her hands behind her back, attempting to hide them. Why do you want to see my hands anyway? Do you want to gloat? Me? Gloat? I would never. I just want to see the wounds that have been dealt to you despite your best efforts, my dear Cornelia. So I may applaud you for your bravery. Forgive me for being so cynical, but I suspect you may be making fun of me. Of course. I will forgive you. You cannot help your... Oh god, cynicism? Given your father fancies himself as a philosopher, it must run in your family. I still can't talk. Indeed he does. Our library is full of Hegel and Kant, though I doubt he understands it. Mother says he just wants to show off at dinner parties. How is he able to show off if he cannot understand the material he speaks of? It is nothing more than bluster. Mother says pretense is one of the key traits a man must possess if he wishes to be successful in this world. My father is an earnest man. He could not lie if his life depended on it, especially not about philosophy. And that is why my mother worries about you, Emmaline. She has said as much before. She need not to concern herself with my family. We may not be as rich as you, but what we lack in wealth we make up for with raw talent. Are you saying I have no talent? I am saying it is somewhat sad that a 14-year-old girl such as yourself still cannot sew a single comforter. Hey! Cornelia, who had let her guard slip as she pondered her father's ill-fated attempts to ingratiate himself with the intelligence of the age, tried to obscure her hands behind her back once more, but it was already too late. What are you doing, Emmy? I am examining your hand as I said I would, and... oh dear. Emmaline tutted and shook her head, her fingers linked together with Cornelia's. They are such beautiful hands with such smooth skin, yet they are marked all over with red dots. It appears as though you have been used as a human pincushion. I already told you, Emmy, I have no skills when it comes to sewing. Why must you tease me so? I was not teasing you, I was honoring your efforts. That is a bad, bald-faced lie, and we both know it. If you had an ounce of respect for me, you would not be smiling like that. Like what? Like that. Now let go of me. Oh, these pictures are so pretty. But Emmaline did not. Instead, she continued to stand there, skirts fluttered about her legs, attempting to peer into Cornelia's grumpy little face with undisguised amusement. Emmy, I told you to let go. Why do you never listen to me? Because seeing you blush is so much fun, of course. Emmy, if Cornelia had the use of both her hands, perhaps she would have struck the top of Emmaline's head for her insolence. As it was, she did not, and all she could do was glare. Glare and blush. Cornelia blushed a lot. That was one of the downsides of having such fresh skin. That, and when she poked herself with a sewing needle, as she was so prone to doing, the red welts that resulted stood out sharply, starkly against her milky complexion. Why are you acting so coy, Nellie? I know you enjoy my company, really. Be that as it may, you are behaving rather childishly right now, and I have no desire to indulge your whims. Honestly? Honestly. Even if those whims are your own as well? Well... Cornelia let her head hang, her face turning just a shade darker. This was not the first time the two girls had held hands. They had been friends ever since they were small, and they were not unfamiliar with the sensation of the other's skin. In fact, they were more well-versed with one another's bodies than one might have expected. Though their mothers would have scolded them for the unladylike manner with which they comported themselves when left alone by the lakeside, they had been scandalized to learn of the other more intimate actions that had taken place between the two girls. Apparently in a robotic voice, I can still not speak. It had only been a month or so when, drunk on the lazy heather and crutching summer, the two girls had slowly, lackadaciously shared their first kiss. Not a kiss on the cheek, or the temple, as they had done during their babyhood, but a true kiss typically shared between adults of the opposite sex. How the old are they again? Neither of them knew who had instigated the kiss or why they had lingered for so long in such a manner. Their lips pressed together, but both agreed after the fact that they had liked it. It had just felt right. As such, without giving these moments of intimacy too much thought, the two girls had continued to display their affection for one another in such a manner all through the summer of 1851. It may have been uncommon for two women to exchange such kisses and There. That wasn't a slap on the face, that was on the hand, and it didn't hurt. But, okay, take two. It may have been uncommon for two women to exchange such kisses and caresses, but what of it? Why should they not kiss one another if they wanted to? The lakeside was their own private haunt, their secret garden, and nothing could intrude upon them there. Not even so-called common decency. That was another question. Why should it be indecent? Emmeline did not understand. She loved Cornelia, and Cornelia loved her. And was that not enough? Even if it was not enough for the rest of the world, it was more than enough for her. You know, you really are beautiful. Do you honestly think so? Of course. I thought so from the moment I was old enough to understand what beauty is. You're one of the loveliest people I've ever seen. Is that why you like me, then? Because you think I'm pretty? Maybe. We humans are fickle beings. Isn't your father proof enough of that? How cruel, Emmy. If you are only kissing me because you think I'm pretty, then perhaps I should reevaluate the nature of our relationship. You are nothing more than rake. You are even worse than that awful Wedgwood boy. You would compare me to Aubrey Wedgwood? My dear Cornelia, I am wounded. I am nothing at all like that boorish fop. Oh my god, if we spoke like this, that would be amazing. Well, I wonder. He can be awfully insistent, too. It is not fitting for a young man. Of course it is not fitting. Did you know he even deigned to take my hand during your mamma's garden party last week? Honestly? Indeed, I would have slapped him, Nellie, had his mother not happened upon us. Did she scold him? Lady Wedgwood? Of course not. Emmeline spat on the ground and did not even have the courtesy to wipe her mouth with a handkerchief afterwards. Under normal circumstances, Cornelia would have scolded Emmeline, but on the score she relented. Thinking about Aubrey Wedgwood often made her want to spit too. She dotes on that spoilt son of hers. Why, she probably believes him to be the second coming of Christ, though he flirts with every single woman in the village, old or young. You see, Nellie, I am nothing like Aubrey. I would rather die than become a rover like him. My feelings for you, my dear Cornelia, are molded from a different cast. You have captured my heart with your ethereal beauty, and now mine eyes can wander no further. You are my sweet red rose, newly sprung in June. Well, Cornelia flustered, though she was by Amelia's teasing, had enough wits about her to recognize that line. Are you quoting poetry at me now, Emmy? Indeed. Did you know that my love is like the melody, sweetly played in tune? Don't be an idiot. If you wish to serenade me, you could at least write a poem of your own. But I know you appreciate, really. In all honesty, I think you are being rather foolish. I cannot help myself, though. I really do love you, Cornelia. I love you so. Sometimes I fear I may go mad. What do you know of madness? I know when you are not by my side, I miss you horribly, and I find myself counting down the minutes. No, the very seconds, until we may be in one of another's companies once more. I appreciate your feelings, Emmy. I love you too. That achievement, like a singing bird. Cool. If only Emmeline and Cornelia could have continued to spend their time together in such a sweet manner, smiling and laughing, or bickering pointlessly and making one another pout, yet always parting with words of love and kisses stolen beneath the warm summer sun. Unfortunately, such moments cannot last forever. The splendors of the summer soon faded, and the leaves began to turn brown, and the wind gained a sharp edge that made Emmeline shiver. It was also during the autumn months that Philip Brunner returned home for the first time in half a year. This reunion, however, was not quite as happy as the previous ones had. Philip Burns had always been a small man, yet he seemed smaller during the bitterly cold September. He stooped more than unusual when he entered rooms. if he entered them at all, for he now had developed a habit of lingering ghost-like about the threshold of his own home, as though afraid of stepping inside. It was almost as though during the 6-month sojourn in London he had lost something crucial to his constitution, his sense of self, or else his soul. Felix's feet were still planted firmly upon the earth, but he was divorced from the world around him. He drifted about aimlessly like a somnambulist, yet was restless within his dream world, incapable of sitting still for more than 5 minutes at a time. He looked at things without seeing them, ate food without tasting it, held objects without touching them. Once, he tried to pick up his glass during dinner, and used it so little force it slipped between his fingers, smashing into pieces against the floor. Even when he spoke to Emmaline, it was without any real feeling, like he was reciting words from a play script, and Philip Burns had never been a good actor. He was not like Cornelia's father, who had so much huff and puff he could have blown down even the brick home built by the most industrious of the 3 little pigs. Philip Burns was far too honest, and that was the worst thing. It was because he was an honest man that Emmaline knew, though he had tried to keep the truth from her. Something was wrong. Something was terribly, terribly wrong. But she did not know what. "Are you all right, Emmy?" Excuse me. Emmaline blinked, brushing a few strands out of the hair out of her face, and turned. "Why do you ask? Was my face contorted in a curious manner?" "I suppose you could say that. You have been acting rather more despondent than usual, that is all." Heh. A cat-like smile crossed Emmeline's lips. She leant forwards until her nose was only inches apart from her companions and said in hushed tones, "Are you worried about me, Nellie?" I was worried about you, but I shall not worry any longer if you insist upon acting like that." Emmaline only giggled, unmoved by Cornelia's protestations, and rearranged her hair. "Seeing you blush always cheers me up, my dear Cornelia. So you admit that you were feeling unhappy earlier?" "Just a touch. I cannot help myself. Not when father has been acting in such a peculiar manner. He shambles about the house like an animated corpse, like the misunderstood creature from Mr. Shelley's novel." "Mr. Shelley? I thought the author of Frankenstein was Mrs. Shelley, not her husband." "Oh, I am unsure of the details, Nellie. Mother says a woman could have not written such a twisted tale, and I do not know what I should believe. In any event, it does not particularly matter." "Probably not, no." Emmaline ran a hand through her auburn curls, or at least she tried to. She soon found that her bonnet got in the way of this gesture, so she untied the ribbon beneath her chin and removed the offending garment. She let her bonnet sit in her lap, as a mother might with a newly born baby, and played with the little green ribbon, twisting it around the wrist of her right arm. The sensation of the soft, smooth material against her skin was comforting, like a caress. "To be quite honest, I have been rather concerned about father. Just this morning, he missed a stair during his descent into the hallway and sprained his ankle. Could have broken his leg." "But he did not." "No, he did not. He does look rather undignified now, though, limping every way like an invalid." "Oh, Emmy." Emmaline shifted, still playing with the ribbon of her bonnet. The look on Cornelia's face was too somber for a playful forest sprite such as herself, and it was unsettling. She did not want to think about her father. She had retreated to the Lynde's estate despite the protestations of Miss Warren. "You may not finish your history lesson, Emmaline. I doubt you could tell Queen Elizabeth apart from a hole in the ground," so she could avoid thinking about her father. This was rather new for Emmaline. She had always loved being with her father. Now, however, she found herself seeking any recourse available to avoid him. Seeing him like this, so small and sad, shuffling about his home like a repentant sinner, was too painful. "When you return home, would you give your father my regards? Mother is awfully concerned about him, and you too, Emmaline." "Beatrice Linton would be concerned. She has always loved poking her nose into other people's business. She is not doing it because she enjoys idle gossip. You should know that better than anyone that my mother deplores that kind of behavior. She believes it is to be most unpleasant." She could not help but feel worried, given what she has read in the papers lately. "Your father has a great deal invested in the East Anglian railways, do they not?" "Don't talk to me about business, Nellie. I can't understand it at all." "I am sure you could if you tried. You have just been raised to believe that you should not bother." Gosh, you sound more and more like your mother every day. Emmaline exhaled, tightening the ribbon of her bonnet around her wrist so much that she started to hurt. Though the material was soft, intended for wear by a young woman with silken skin who had never worked a day in the privileged little lives, it chafed when she wound it such about her wrist. It was strange, Emmaline amused, how something as innocuous, as a ribbon could cause harm when it was used with a malicious intent. This world was more dangerous than she had ever truly given it credit for. Even the lake which she had gazed upon with Cornelia could be hiding some sinister secrets within its depth. I apologize, Nellie. I don't mean to snap at you. I've been rather highly strung as of late. It must be because of the atmosphere at home. Do not fret, Emmy. I understand. You do? Not entirely, but I will try to. I do care about you, after all. Thank you, Nellie. The girls looked at one another, unusually shy, hesitant, their face slightly flushed. Then with a tut, Cornelia leant forwards, brushing the tips of her fingers against Emmeline's wrist. You should not do that. What? Fiddle with your bonnet like that. Because it is because it's unbecoming of a lady? Because you are hurting yourself. Your poor hand has gone white, the blood cannot flow through your body properly if you impede it like that. And your hands, by contrast, still appear to be red, Nellie. Emmeline giggled and began to unwind the ribbon from her wrist. Are you still yet to master the sacred art of the cross-stitch? That is neither here nor there. I am trying to comfort you, Emmeline. And you have been doing a wonderful job. Gazing upon your many imperfections always cheers me. You are so cruel, Emmeline. Sometimes I feel like you do not truly love me. You just love toying with me. Now, where did you get that silly idea like that? Emmeline smiled, with a touch less sarcasm than before, and leant forwards, then moving quickly as a kitty-wake might plunk a fish out of the water, she pressed a chest kiss against the corner of Cornelia's lips. I love you more than ever. Nothing could quell my feelings for you, not a raging storm or a howling wind. Cornelia pressed one hand against her cheek gingerly. The spot where Emmeline had kissed her tingled. It felt much like being poked with a sewing needle, a sensation Cornelia was depressingly familiar with. Yet it was not unpleasant. Your blushes truly are beautiful, Cornelia. They would even outdo the roses in the midst of summer. It makes me wish I could kiss you every single second of the day, if it would always elicit such a lovely response. I do not think my heart would be able to cope with such a constant slew of affection. You would kill me, Emmy. And what better would... Oh my gosh, she is actually really smooth. I cannot read oh my gosh. Sorry. And what better way would there be to die than to be kissed fervently by a girl you love? And, with a light giggle, even breezier than that of the coastal air, Emmeline pressed another kiss against the side of Cornelia's mouth. You know, you should ask for my permission before you do that. I am not quite as hungry for affection as you are. So you say, but you do not offer much resistance. That sounds like something Aubrey would say. Never would I not see compare me to that cure. Again, would you, Nellie? I am simply saying what I see. You claim to dislike Aubrey, but you grow more and more like him with every passing day. That is a lie. Libel slander, take it back. No. Take it back, I said. I refuse. Well, I insist. If you want to change my mind, you'll have to insist harder than that. Alright, then how's this? With the devilish glint in the eyes where would have been evidence enough only a couple of centuries past her as witch, Emmeline shifted forwards and began a merciless assault. Not even William of Normandy, as he drove back the armies of Harold Godwin during the Battle of Hastings, could have conceived of such brutality. Alrighty then. This is coming out of hand, squeakers, and they're really young. Anyway, that's all we have today. I'll see you next time in the sad story of Emmaline Burns. Goodbye.